There's a weird kind of clarity that comes when you realize no one's coming to save you. No one's going to build the life or the business or the creative path for you. You have to figure it out piece by piece. And if you're like me, you probably learned that the hard way. This show isn't about pretending I have it all together. Far from it. It's about sharing what I've learned, so maybe you don't have to learn it all the hard way like I did. If you're building something real, something that actually matters to you, you're in the right place. Hey, I'm glad you're here. If this is your first time hearing from me, welcome. And if you've been following my work for a while, maybe on social media, or you're on my email list, or you've checked out my website, then you already know I care deeply about helping women build things that are real. Businesses, creative projects, platforms, whatever it is that you're building, I'm here for the women doing it with intention. This podcast is meant to be an extension of that work. I wanted a space where I could go deeper, get a little more honest, and talk through the stuff that doesn't always make it into a neat Instagram caption or a Pinterest post. I wanted to share more of the why behind what I do because I know how valuable that kind of transparency can be when you're out there figuring things out for yourself. So this first episode is a little different. It's not about strategies or frameworks or client stories. Those will come later. Today, it's just me. My story, why I started this, who I'm trying to help, and what I hope you'll take away from spending time here. Because let's be honest, we've all heard a million business podcasts, but I don't want this to be one more thing on your to-do list. I want this to feel like a conversation with someone who gets it, someone who's been in the messy middle, made mistakes, kept going, and wants to help you do the same. So here's what I want to walk you through today. First, a bit of background, where I came from, and how I ended up doing the work that I do now. Then I'll get into the moment things really shifted for me, because there's always that point where something clicks or breaks, and you realize, okay, this might actually be my path. After that, I'm going to talk about why this work actually matters to me, like what makes me get up and do it even when it's hard. Then I'm going to tell you exactly who I'm speaking to with this show and what I hope you'll get from it. If you're in that audience, I want you to feel seen. If you're not, you'll know that too. And finally, I'm going to share what kind of help I can offer here on the podcast and beyond. Hopefully not in a salesy way, just so you know what's possible if you stick around. So, I didn't start out doing online business strategy, not even close. My background is in accounting, records management, CRMs, and inventory systems. Basically, helping businesses organize their tech and workflows so things actually run smoothly. I am a certified Salesforce administrator and platform app builder, and I spent years in that world, designing systems, solving backend problems, and making sure things actually worked the way they were supposed to. Strategy and implementation always came naturally to me, but what stuck with me wasn't just the work itself, it was how people reacted to it. I kept seeing the same thing over and over again, especially with women. Smart, creative, driven women, totally capable, but somehow stuck. Not because they weren't trying, but because the tools were overwhelming, confusing, and honestly, no one had ever taken the time to explain things in a way that actually made sense to them. That disconnect hit me hard, because I knew they could do it. They just needed someone to walk them through it without making them feel dumb or behind, or like they were supposed to already know all the answers somehow. And maybe part of the reason it hit me so hard is because I get it. I grew up in a really unstable environment. It was often chaotic and usually unsafe. I learned early on to stay small, stay quiet, and figure things out on my own. That shapes you. It teaches you to be self-reliant, sure, but it also teaches you that asking for help is risky, that survival is about staying invisible. That kind of wiring doesn't just disappear when you start your career or your own online business. It shows up in how you work, how you lead, and what kind of space you want to create for others. For me, that space needed to be clear, steady, and safe. That's why I started Empower Your Spark, to create a space where women can get the clarity, tools, and support they need to actually run their business, not just dabble in it. It's not just about learning how to use Canva or Notion or whatever the latest platform is. It's about understanding how all the pieces fit together: tech, strategy, systems, mindset, so your business works for you, not against you. This podcast is meant to be part of that. Think of it as a behind the scenes layer of Empower Your Spark. It's where I talk more openly about the messy parts of running a business, especially as someone who's introverted, intentional, and kind of allergic to the performative hustle culture. Because let's be real, there's a lot of noise out there. Hustle culture has definitely become performative. I don't know. Maybe it always was, and it's just more obvious to me personally now. It's more about looking busy and successful than doing meaningful work. It rewards constant output, constant visibility, constant pressure. But that's not how everyone works best. It's not even how most people work best. Here we do things differently, slower, more thoughtfully, and on your own terms. Because once you stop battling the tools and the pressure to perform, you can finally focus on building something that actually fits you. There wasn't one big moment that changed everything for me. It was more like a slow build, followed by, a shit show. A series of conversations, massive frustrations, and small realizations that stacked up until I couldn't keep ignoring them. I kept seeing the same thing happen. Brilliant women second-guessing themselves in business, in tech, sometimes being belittled by other women. Not because they didn't have ideas, not because they weren't capable, but because the business side of things, especially the tech and systems, felt like a constant obstacle. Every tool came with a learning curve, every decision felt heavy, and none of the advice out there seemed made for them. And honestly, I started to get tired of watching people shrink themselves to fit systems that weren't built for them in the first place. That's when it clicked for me. My job wasn't just to teach someone how to use a tool. My job was to help them trust themselves to run their business, to show them that the right way isn't always the loudest, most optimized, most visible one. Sometimes it's the one that feels simple, sustainable, and powerful. I realized I didn't want to just hand people tutorials or strategies. I wanted to help them feel at home in their business. That shift away from just teaching and toward real support and empowerment is what shaped everything that came after. It's why I built Empower Your Spark, and it's why I started this podcast. Honestly, I do this work because I don't think building a business should feel this hard. I know that feeling. I've had that feeling. I've watched people I care about go through it. And I just kept thinking, this shouldn't be the thing that stops them. The tech, the backend, the strategy, that stuff can be learned. It just needs to be taught in a way that makes sense, without the judgment, without the ego, without the chaos. That's why this work matters to me, because when someone finally feels like they get it, like they can do this without pretending to be someone they're not, everything opens up. They stop holding back, they start making moves that feel good, and that's what I want to see more of. So, I'm here for the women who are building something of their own, maybe for the first time, maybe for the 10th, but who still feel like they're figuring it out as they go. The ones who care about doing it right, but also doing it their way, who are tired of being told to just show up more or work harder, as if that's the answer to everything. The ones who want to run their business with intention, but feel like they're constantly stuck in the weeds. Tech they don't understand, systems they didn't set up, advice that doesn't really fit them. If you're building a business and want it to actually feel aligned, not just functional, but yours, you're in the right place. I work best with people who want clarity without the fluff, who want to learn, but on their own terms, who aren't chasing a perfect brand or a viral moment, but a business that's steady, real, and sustainable. That's who I make this for. That's who I built Empower Your Spark for, and that's who I'll be talking to every time I sit down to record this podcast. So here's what you can expect from me, both here on the podcast and through my work. I help women get their business systems in order so they can stop feeling like they're constantly behind. That means simplifying tech, clarifying strategy, and building the kind of foundation that actually supports growth, not chaos. Sometimes that looks like courses or templates. Sometimes it's one-on-one support. Sometimes it's just breaking down something that felt way too complicated and saying, here's a better way to look at this. On this podcast, I'm going to keep things honest. You're going to hear behind the scenes breakdowns, real strategies that actually work, thoughts on what I'm seeing in this space, and the kind of conversations that make you feel less alone when you're figuring things out. You don't need to fake urgency or pressure to scale faster. You will get tools, ideas, and reminders that you don't have to do it the way everyone else is doing it. That's how I help, by giving you the clarity and support to build something that works and feels good while you're building it. So if you've made it this far, thank you, really. This first episode is a bit of a leap, and it means a lot that you're here for it. My hope with this podcast is simple, that it becomes a space that helps you breathe a little easier in your business. A space that cuts through the noise, makes things feel doable, and reminds you that you're not behind. You're just building something real, and that takes time. There's a lot coming up, episodes on systems, strategy, mindset, tools, and all the behind-the-scenes stuff that no one tells you when you start a business. But also, real conversations about what it's like to do all of this when you're more introverted, more intentional, and not into all the nonstop look-at-me energy that dominates a lot of the online space. Whether you're just starting out or you've been doing this for a while and still feel like you're figuring it out, I'm glad you're here. You're the reason I'm doing this. If this episode spoke to you, the best way to stay connected is to follow the show so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you want to go a little deeper, you can join my free community or hop on my email list. I'll drop both links in the show notes. This is just the beginning, and I'm really glad you're here for it.